everybody, welcome back to Sarah's Table. It's a little one today. It's just two folk today. We're gonna do a game that I found on itch.io. I feel like a lot of the smaller RPGs, the 1-player, the 2-player RPGs, don't get highlighted as often on streaming shows, and so I try to do one every once in a while. Maybe I should introduce myself. Should I, though? I mean, is it necessary?
If you want.
Thanks. Hey, thanks for validating me.
You're welcome.
Hi, friends. I'm Sarah Moore. My pronouns are she, her, and today I'm going to be your host and one of the players, because there's not a game master in this particular game, and I'm going to be your favorite person. I'm going to remind you to take a drink of water, but I don't have any water near me.
What?
Failed, but you at home should take some. Follow Damon's example and not mine. Yeah, it's been a wild week, what with the holiday and all.
Mm-hmm.
And I stumbled across this game, which I know that my hashtag is joyful gaming. But this game is called The Archives, and it is a Dying Earth game by Gordie Murphy. I feel like we can still find the joy because I really love libraries, and it's about setting up a library. But the reason why you're setting up the library is because the planet that you're living on is rapidly becoming uninhabitable. And you are setting up all of the important things in your culture and society that you want future travelers who discover it to know about what happened in your civilization before everyone died out. So, happy holidays, everybody. It's going to be great. The only thing that I love more than libraries is organizing. And this is both. So, pew, pew. I think maybe organization is one of my love languages. So very excited. I'm going to do a quick safety discussion. I don't think that this is a thing that we're going to get into today because of the nature of this game. But for those of you who have watched Sarah's Table in the past, you know that here you will never find sexual violence, violence against children, or withholding food as punishment or starvation. I don't think there's anything else that we are shying away from today. No? All good. Fun fact, Damon would run games with a lot of really horrific things in it.
Yes.
Just always. Yay! No lines for Damon. Okay, well, why don't you introduce yourself, friend?
Okay, I can do that. My name is Damon Vanhee. My pronouns are he, him. And I have a cold, whose pronouns are also he, him.
Wow.
I'm also a game designer. I'm the creator and writer of The Crowned, which is developed with you, Sarah.
Oh.
Yeah,
I did it. It was me.
Yeah, you did it.
And we have done it on this show a couple of times.
We have. So if
you are missing that, you don't know, like, just go back and watch previous episode after this one.
We did a full arc, even
4 episodes, 4 whole episodes, 3.5. One was billed.
Yeah. More people too.
More people.
Not just us.
No. We just kept gathering people.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? What's your week been like?
I mean, good. Yeah. I've been laying low, just dealing with a horrendous cold that everybody is also dealing with, which
awesome.
you know was my holiday. But I ate a lot of mac and cheese about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is the proper way to deal with any kind of illness is just have some cheese.
Yeah. It might not help with your symptoms, but it does help with your soul.
Yeah,
So,
that's the important part.
so pro tip, if you are not feeling well, mentally or physically, like have some cheese about it.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Let's play this game.
let's do it. I'm excited. I did not read the handout you gave me.
That's okay.
Okay, good.
I am very used to nobody having any idea what game we are playing when we go
Coming in
into it.
blind. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fun. We can discover it together. I have never played this game before. And I read it a couple of times when I found it, but it was really just that the idea seemed very intriguing to me. So I thought, give it a go.
Libraries are dope.
And it seems a little like a bummer, so I thought you'd like it.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have here, there's a quote that is prominently displayed on it. That is, what great minds lie in the dust. What gorgeous souls have vanished into the buried ages. What marvelous creatures are lost past the remotest memory, which is Jack Vance, Tales of the Dying Earth. So what we are going to do, and it actually, because of how it is set up, we will be playing multiple generations of librarians.
Okay.
You serve the library for the span of your lifetime, and then someone else takes over. And we have to make sure that there is some kind of record of our civilization. And they said, basically like no pressure, but lots of pressure, because this is how you are responsible for how your civilization will be remembered.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. And we also will be setting up projects that will help improve the library over time, over the generations as we are playing. It's really easy. We need paper, something to write with, and 1 6-sided die a piece.
I have lots of 6-sided die.
Well, then I think we're covered.
I'm gonna roll one and throw it away, and then
just or eat it, and done.
Yeah.
Feed them to your cats when you're done with it.
They would eat them.
I know it. So the first thing that we need to do is set up our civilization, and we have to answer a few questions about our timeline. So, is this Earth? Is it parallel version of Earth? Is it another planet? Fantastical realm? What do you think?
Parallel Earth.
Parallel Earth. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we have to decide when it takes place. When in this parallel Earth arc of history does it take place? Is it like modern time now? Or are we at some point in the past?
No later than the 1930s.
Okay. Yeah, let's go 30s. Let's go parallel Earth 1930s. Do we have a where on this parallel Earth that the big archives is located?
Yes.
Good. Moving on. Next question.
Yeah, moving on. It exists somewhere. Let's put it in a big city. Like London or something, like a big capital city.
Do we want to go like UK, Europe, or do we want to go like Asia? Is it the entire island of Australia? Is it
Let's pick an island. Let's put it on an island. That's good.
Okay. Do you want to do Australia? Do you want to do?
Sure.
Right.
Let's do it.
We don't need a capital. It's the whole island. We've taken over. Thank you.
It's a very flat and wide library.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
It can be tall. We can build up. This doesn't have to one book high all over the
just laid end to end. Yeah.
Just laid out. I also need to on the scrap of paper, I need to write the crisis clock.
Oh. That sounds fun.
Yeah. And then we add a number of boxes equal to the number of players. Oh, well.
Oh, geez.
We can only have 2 crises before the world ends.
I feel like we're going to run out of those pretty quick.
So they happen now. Why is this setting dying? They give a couple of examples as that we can sort of jam on. Could be the sun is going out.
Classic.
The planet is being consumed by something. The atmosphere is becoming too poisonous for survival. Perhaps the core is superheating.
Mm-hmm. I like poison air. That's good.
And I love it. It's my favorite thing for
Christmas.
Christmas.
It's great. Yeah.
I got you a vial of poisoned air.
Oh, so sweet.
No, I'm going to deliver it when I see you next.
And then just back away. Just open it on your own over there.
Listen, in fact, wait until I have flown back home. Just in case.
Just in case.
Okay. And we have to find out what is the beginning of recorded civilization.
Oh.
Our timeline starts wherever we, as a society, started writing down important things.
I mean, a long time ago. A long time ago.
A long time ago.
I'm great at history. Very good at history, especially 1930s Australian history.
Obviously. Well, it's global. It's 1930s global history. And it's parallel Earth, so we get to make it up.
Okay. Well, I think I'm still going to go with a really long time ago.
Are we thinking maybe like first recorded that was found is like ancient Egyptian, like hieroglyphs?
Sure.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Is it because you can't think of anything that's older than ancient Egypt?
Because I would be incorrect. I would confidently say this is older, and I would be wrong.
That's fine. Well, maybe an R.
Well, I can't keep falling back on it being parallel to just like correct all of my bad history. Maybe I can.
Okay.
Maybe I can. Yeah.
So we have set up the civilization. It is a parallel Earth timeline. We are currently in the 1930s. Archives are located in Australia. The Earth is dying because the atmosphere is becoming too poisonous for human life to survive. And the earliest recorded that we have for our civilization is ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Now we have to set up the library. We have a couple of things that are very important because it contains all or most of the information from humankind's history. It is necessarily huge. So we each get to choose one subject that is represented in the library as an accessible subject, which means that it is already very organized and easy to get to. Do you want to go first? Do you want me
just
to go
any subject?
Any subject.
Any subject. Um, I think let's do like mechanical science.
Mechanical science, accessible. Um, Now, explain why this subject is especially accessible. Why is it important to the culture of your civilization or displayed in a prominent place?
I think that um, one of the reasons the air is as bad as it is in our world, machines kicked off a lot sooner.
Mm.
And so we're dealing with like rampant pollution and toxic air that way.
Mm-hmm.
So probably had large industrial machinery much earlier than before. So there are extensive records, and it is, I think, inherently well organized because engineering needs to be.
Yeah, and probably used the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like people probably come in all the time and are like, we need to figure out something else. So they're using it as like a research center.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think then that I'm going to choose like art history.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it is important because like the generations like know that it is the earth is dying. And so they're trying very hard to like find all the beauty that they can before
Mm-hmm.
inevitably there's nothing left.
Because that's where culture is. Yeah.
Correct. So I think there's probably also a very prominent display, and I think that it looks very different than the mechanical science section, because I think the librarians are probably always like arranging new pieces of art and things up
Mm-hmm.
so that people can look at it. So if we want to research either of these, it will be much easier. However, everything else will require more effort to get things that are accurate because it is considered buried.
Got it.
Could mean that you don't have the means to access it right now, or that it is spread throughout the library in a nonsensical way, or any other reason that we say it's buried. Okay. Wow. Some of the examples that they gave for here on Earth, regular Earth, would be ancient architecture, French Revolution, the life of Nelson Mandela, advances in chemistry, war in the Middle Ages, city planning, and the Chernobyl incident.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
were we too broad? Should we narrow down what we said?
Do we want to take those and narrow them down a little bit? So like something more than mechanical science? So
yeah.
A little bit.
Let's narrow it a bit. I think I'm going to go with specifically like large scale farming equipment.
Oh. It also said that it might be good for you to like establish something like a faction or a particular culture in your timeline that it focuses around. So like large scale farming equipment of like some particular people that existed in this parallel Earth.
I mean, there could be like grain unions.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Grain union. And then I think maybe art history is let's focus it in to be like let's go like real far in and say like wood block art
Oh, cool.
history. And because perhaps because of the amount of equipment that we had early, maybe there is even like more like there was a push away from it, and so everything was
Hmm.
done by hand, and so that movement became like a big deal in the like the people who were sort of anti machine
Hmm.
type
Hmm.
of thing. Okay. All right. How is our information stored? Is it in
Mm.
books, written down on another physical media, digital, magically stored? Could have a mix of all of these, but one of them needs to be the primary method.
I mean, I like books. I like holding stuff. I like paper.
Like books. Are our books made out of paper?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like traditional books.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We have done pew, 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 all of
Good
our
job,
setup.
us. All
We
right,
did
great.
it. Now, each of our turns will have two phases:
Okay.
projects phase and the research phase. Um, you will undertake a project to improve the library. Tell the others at the table what you're working on, but do not say what your intended outcome or purpose is.
Oh,
For
interesting.
example, you could say you want to start a project to rebind the books in a section of the library, but not what you want to accomplish by doing that. The person who finishes the project will interpret the results.
Hmm.
Because as curators, you rarely see work completed on your terms. When you set a project, determine how many lifetimes it will take to finish. Because of the size and complexity of the library and because of all of the regular duties of the curators, everything serious takes decades to finish. Once a die to keep track of the number of turns remaining. So you'll put one out and say, like, if this is going to take 4 lifetimes, it'll say 4.
Okay.
Then every time a player decides to work on it, you reduce it. Wow. I don't know that we'll finish anything. There are a lot of crises. There's only 2 crises
Yeah.
before
We don't
things
have a
happen.
lot of time. Yeah.
Um, and if there are already projects ongoing, you can instead choose to continue an existing project yourself, one that you have made if you want.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a couple of examples. Repair a room or area of the library, move information from one data format to another, organize information in a new system, or repair information or data, binding books, preserving scrolls, etc.
Got it. I have mine.
All right, go ahead.
I'm building a staircase.
And a staircase. Great. And how many lifetimes do you think that'll take?
2.
2 lifetimes. All right, setting it out. I'm using very pretty dice today because I don't have enough rainbows.
Hmm.
So, 2 lifetimes. And now you will finish your turn. You will research. You do your research phase.
Okay.
This is how you piece together elements of your civilization's history and add scenes to the timeline. So you get to choose a moment in time to research. Anywhere on the timeline, at any point in our history, they don't have to be added in order. Choose something important in history and build on it from there. So, you are going to, there's a research list like questions of research. I will give these, and then you get to choose one of those, and then that's how you
Great.
build on it.
Okay, cool.
So, who got blamed for this event? How is this event not what it seemed? What lingering effect did this event produce? Why was this event not what people of the time expected? Where did this event originate? When did this event start to go awry? And how is this event related to the dying world? If you choose the last one, how is this event related to the dying world? You advance the crisis clock. So if you choose that last one, we check off a box anytime anybody chooses that. Which means, that you get to choose how long this goes. We could play this game for weeks, and just as long as nobody chose that one, you could just keep
Nobody
going.
chooses it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I want to choose, why is this event not what people think?
Okay.
That was on the list, right?
Yeah. Why was this event not what people of the time expected?
Yes.
Or how is this event not what it seemed? Which one is it?
The first one.
Well, yeah. Why was this event not what people of the time expected?
Not what people of the time expected. Yes.
All right. So what is your event that we are looking at?
I think I'm going to play off the grain unions thing.
Okay.
And I think there was a moment in time, probably, let's say, if we're in the 1930s, let's say like the 1840s, like almost 100 years ago, thereabouts, where the unions were getting established, and there was a new cover crop that was getting worked into circulation. And it was a crop that was intended to be, in addition to just being cover crop, it was also supposed to yield high nutrition food and grain for people to eat. And it was supposed to alleviate a lot of the hunger problems that the earth was having.
Interesting. So now you get to roll a die.
Oh, cool. All right. D6, right?
You will roll a D6.
Rolled a 3.
3. Okay. All right. We have to add some modifiers, potential modifiers.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that this is related to information in your accessible list?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Okay.
Well,
then
with
I
the
would
large
say
scale farm equipment.
you get to add 1 to your roll, so you're at 4.
Okay.
Players can also spend research points. Do we have research points? That was not set up. Oh, you earn them.
Got it. By completing projects or something?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. And you started a project with a turn length of 2, which by building the stairs, starting that staircase, which means we get to add a new subject to the accessible list.
Oh, all right.
What do you think would be accessible?
And it can be anything, right?
Be anything.
Yeah.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could do it toward that stairs, but that doesn't seem.
Yeah. Let's do astronomy.
Ooh, I like that. Astronomy. Okay. So you got a 4, which means that your research is missing key details. And so, as someone who did not say all of the things that you got to choose, I get to choose an aspect that is missing. It's either untrue to history and the real truth has been lost in time, or it was like mistranslated.
Mm.
Um, New cover crop was introduced with the formation of the grain unions, and then was meant to alleviate the world's hunger issues. I think it wasn't to alleviate the world's hunger issues. I think the real reason was perhaps covered up and lost. It wasn't about.
Mm-hmm. That was just the story that they told.
Yeah. Or that somebody
that
inferred that that's what it must have been for. And that like the real records are gone. You can also, this is very funny. You can choose to answer additional questions from the research list for a project, but doing so means that you are shirking your other duties. And whenever you answer an additional question, there's like a list of penalties that happens. So you could either remove a subject from the accessible list, or you lose your notes for the next curator. So it increases the amounts needed for a partial success, like with the with your role. Yeah. So you can be like, I'm really into this thing, I'm going to do all of it, but then you just like don't do anything else for the rest of your tenure as a curator. Your research is intense. It's just one of them.
Love that.
Beep, beep, beep. It keeps, okay. This is the first time that I am looking at this like really super in depth, but it keeps talking about research points. And I don't see it in the thing here. Like it says you can spend an additional research point, but I don't see that anywhere in the game.
Huh.
We're all discovering this together. Friends at home.
Learning here in the library.
That is where the best learning happens. That's what libraries are for. Just going to take one more second and look for it. I don't see a reference to it anywhere about research points. Oh, I think maybe I missed a thing. These will characterize the conditions in the library and help you build the fiction of what's happening through the decades. It's the project die. You add up the number that are on there when you have finished it.
Got it.
And it is all communal. The pool of points. So you don't keep them like, because it's not like if you finish the project, then you get all of those. It's just like there are 2 research points.
Got it.
Got it.
So right now we don't have any.
We don't have any.
We haven't
and so
finished any projects.
Right. So we cannot
Okay.
yet. Okay. Great. Moving on to my thing that I want to research. I think I would like to, and I think it's maybe early 1900s, 19 aughts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was a.
Wait, what's your project? Don't you do project first?
Project first. Sorry. I think the project I am doing is moving um data to from very old paper that is falling apart to like fresh, like update so we
Making
don't lose
making
anything.
copies. Yeah.
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 And I bet that there's a lot of that. And so I think that'll be maybe four.
Okay.
Like because it's probably one of those things that honestly you're sort of never done with. um
Right.
so
By the time you get to the last book, the first book is wrecked, and yeah.
yeah, it's painting the birth of Fourth Bridge. Um okay. Do, 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 do. Copying books. Copy books. Okay. And the thing I'm going to research, I think that there was a civil war in the
Mm.
early 1900s um, that encompassed all of South America. Um, so let's see. I have to go back to that list of things. What lingering effect did this event produce? I think I think that there is still like a physical wall dividing South America.
Oh, cool.
I mean, probably not for them. Maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe a
Who
really cool
knows?
one. Dividing the continent. Um, all right. I did not answer any additional questions.
And then you roll.
And then I roll to see. I have to find out about the modifiers. I don't think it's on any of the accessible lists. No
Yeah.
accessible. Um, we don't have any research points to spend. So, gonna give it the old roll. I got a 6. That was pretty nice. Some details of the events are lacking context. After you play through the scene, have someone who was not involved in its choice. You get to choose an aspect of that scene, and it's taken out of its original context or misunderstood, but isn't entirely incorrect.
Okay. I think that the Civil War was not supported by the people.
Hmm.
And so it was governmental fighting, but not at all actually a civil war among the populace.
Interesting. But it's recorded as full,
Mm-hmm.
like that the people were all on
Yeah.
board and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. We're back to you. Would you like to set up another project or would you like to further a project?
I think I would like to set up another project. I am going to be building. Um, I'm going to be building an exterior structure for the library, like a supplemental structure.
Hmm. Like an annex.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that is a 3 lifetime situation.
Okay. All right.
And so is the thought then that we could re-research those things from before, kind of perfecting what we are leaving for future generations?
Taking a look. It also says if we want to go like more in depth into them, that we can like make them into actual scenes where we like role play
Mm-hmm,
people in them. If we want to do
mm-hmm.
that. Um, I think once we've done that one, it could be something that happened after it, but I don't, you can't go back in, it
Got
seems.
it. Got it. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to research something different
Okay.
this turn. I think it's still, I mean, slightly adjacent, maybe, but I think I am going to. I'm picking from that list of questions again.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Can I?
Well,
Can you tell me those again?
do you want to pick the subject matter first and then we can?
Oh, sure, 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 sure. I think I'm going to go further back in time.
Okay.
Um, let's do like 300 years before now. So early
Like
1600s.
1600s,
Mm-hmm.
1620s or 30s.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there is um, I think that there is a very old sect of druids,
Mm,
like right on the end of their society's lifetime,
okay.
that have mastered a lot of um, uh, um, botany and like botanical supplies and lore and things like that. I think that would be a useful thing to leave.
Okay. Um, who got blamed for the event? How is the event not what it seemed? What lingering effect did this event produce? Why was this event not what people of the time expected? Where did this event originate? When did this event start to go awry? Or how is this event related to the dying world?
I think let's do when did this event go awry? Or is it why this event went
When?
awry?
When did this event start to go awry?
When did it start to go awry? Okay, well, I think it's right around that time. It's the early 1600s, um, and it's when the organization itself started to break down.
Is there a name for these druids?
Nope. Um,
Stop asking me
let's see.
questions, Sarah.
Stop asking questions. Um, yeah, let's. They referred to themselves as Blackthorn Druids.
Okay. And this is when they were breaking down.
Yes.
The Blackthorn Druids
Mm-hmm.
started to like fall apart, drift
I
apart.
think I think there was some infighting
Mm,
over the direction to take the group.
okay. That's where
I think.
that's where it started to like
Mm-hmm,
become an issue.
mm-hmm. I think that I, as a librarian, might have kind of a far fetched conspiracy theory
Oh,
that I'm trying to tie pieces together. And I think point A is this druid order,
mm-hmm.
and point B are the grain unions.
Oh,
in like
interesting.
a Knights Templar
Hmm.
sort
Like
of way.
maybe it's like the splinter of like it broke into two and some of them became the grain unions
Yeah,
a couple hundred years later.
yeah. That's my working theory.
Interesting. I have to tell you that I am surprised that you didn't choose this to advance the crisis clock.
I almost did it immediately, but
I
I
know.
wanted to see what the game was like first. Straight to the end, only
The end. The
crisis.
end.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, great. So now we're gonna roll. Uh, I don't think that this is a part of the accessible list.
When do the lifetimes go advance? Just whenever we decide it is a new lifetime, or is it every turn is a new
I think
lifetime?
it's maybe every turn,
Mm-hmm.
or when someone advances a project. I think you were just like playing a line of curators.
Okay. Well, I think
Yours,
this guy really
yours are
wants to
all
get.
mixed together. You are like maybe this same family generation, and you've passed on your crazy conspiracy theory too.
Yeah. There's probably a ridiculous notebook that is getting handed down generationally that is just stuffed with handwritten things, little scraps of paper,
This feels
probably a
correct.
flattened leaf or two.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to roll a die and see if I got any. I don't think. I don't think any of my accessible subjects are going to help. Mechanical
Okay.
science, art, history, or astronomy. I don't think any of those count.
Mm-mm.
All right. So I'm just going to roll a d6 and see what happens. I rolled a 5.
All right. So some details of the event are lacking context. An aspect has been taken out of its original context or misunderstood, but isn't entirely incorrect. And I get to decide what that is. I think um I think that the infighting was just one dude who wanted to
Mm.
splinter off. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that it became like and his followers situation. Like
Uh-huh.
there was a schism. How do you
Schism.
pronounce that
Mm-hmm.
word? Schism.
I've always said schism, but I say it in my head when I'm reading, so I don't know if
Right.
that's right.
I know. One of those. But it was literally like everybody and then like one dude who split off.
Okay. What's that guy's name? Is it in the
Ooh.
text?
Um, well, I'm gonna get weird.
Yeah.
And I think that these druids are only referred to by uh like the names of plants.
Okay.
Um, and so hold on, I'm looking it up. I need a list of things. Um, so I think that he is referred to only in the text as Oleander.
Oleander. I like it.
And then like I think that everybody is referred to as like they like choose a plant that represents them. And
Mm-hmm.
this dude chose a poisonous plant and then splintered off. It was like, I'm out. And I don't know if you think he formed the grain union
Mm-hmm.
or if you think the other people formed the grain union.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know my theory.
We'll never know.
We'll see.
Um, I am going to work on one of the active projects instead of starting
Great.
another one because I feel like we are never going to get points if we just start 1,000 projects, never finish one.
Yeah, that's true.
So I am going to say I'm going to work on building that staircase and taking it down. So it is now at 1
Yep.
instead of at dos. And the thing that I am going to research, let me look at my timeline. I feel like it's been a couple of generations now because we've each gone a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that in the 1940s, so it's very recent. It's like maybe like a current history situation.
Mm-hmm.
That there was trying to think of where we would be at if machines were introduced earlier. Okay, well maybe 1940s is first human on the moon.
Okay. I like that.
If we had like machinery much earlier. I've played Civ. Like that gets real quick at the
You
end
can pick
there.
that tree and just go for it.
Go,
Yeah.
just go. All right. So I'm going to say now I need to look at the question list. Oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
Is this a
advance.
crisis?
I'm
Is
gonna
this a
advance the
crisis?
crisis clock.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
It'll teach you to go to the moon.
This is what happens when you go to the moon.
Go to the moon. Moon's
Checked
haunted.
off the little crisis clock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Moon's haunted.
Moon is haunted. Moon's haunted. um, no, I think that they brought stuff back. They brought like samples of everything, and I think maybe this moon had uh, they brought like rock and maybe some mineral and stuff back, and I think that it started like they started trying to process the moon mineral, and it was not compatible with human folk.
Okay. So do we have, in addition to non-breathable air, do we also have like moon bacteria now?
I'm
Like, are
wondering
we
if
dealing
maybe
with plague also,
I'm
or is
wondering
it
if
the moon
that's
stuff that's
what is like
mm-hmm,
what that's what morphed into
mm-hmm.
the poisonous atmosphere.
Okay.
So this is step 1, not step 2, which you probably will get to do. I will leave that for you. I will let you
Oh, thank you.
kill the earth.
Kill the earth, destroy the earth.
Happy Christmas. Don't say I never
Aw.
got you anything. Ba, ba, ba. All right. I don't think, I mean, maybe astronomy. Not really. Celestial
You're going to
bodies.
the moon.
That's true.
I think by definition, astronomy
So I get to add one.
covers the moon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see what a roll. Beep, 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 beep. Running out of D6s because we have too many projects.
I got a lot. I can set up a bunch.
Oh no. Well, you get to do lots of stuff. This research is missing key details.
Okay.
So something about it is untrue to history, and the real truth has been lost to time.
And I get to inform
You get to pick.
what that lost history is.
Like, yeah, what is the thing about it that is not true?
Mm-hmm. I think um I think the moon is not barren.
Oh,
And that was like, it's like an algae that came back um, which is spreading in the oceans and
And letting off
off-gassing
the
fumes. Mm-hmm.
so the thing that is wrong is that it's the moon mineral that is being processed.
That sort of in conjunction with a lot of like the machinery being blamed for
Mm,
the bad air. I think the truth of things is that there's this, from the moon, organism that is messing things up.
right. Well, unfortunately, that is not in the research.
We'll
So
never know.
no one will know. Future generations will not know unless we discover it later in like
Future generations.
something from the universe that comes and finds our library will not
Yes.
know how
Because it's
dangerous
not
the
going to be
moon is.
people.
Shoot the moon. The moon is
Yeah.
bad.
The moon is haunted. Yeah, because algae probably spreads pretty quick.
Oh, I would bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops.
I mean, the astronaut probably shouldn't have like gone rooting around in the moon.
Yeah.
Your job is to go like set foot on it and
Hmm.
like then
Play a
come
little
back,
golf and then just come back.
leave a flag, get out of
Yep.
there.
Whoops.
Foolish. Foolish. All right, man.
All right. Well,
What's going on with your crazy line of conspiracy theory?
I think the staircase is going to need to be finished.
Finish the staircase.
Going to finish the
Ta-da.
staircase.
Took it away. That means that we have two
Two research points. Yeah.
research points to add on to rolls. Um because you finished the project, tell me what it accomplishes.
So I think, and these are intended to be improvements to the library, correct?
Correct.
I think there are, the staircase goes down,
Mm.
and it's a vast staircase, very wide, very like gentle sloping downward.
Mhm.
And there's a, beneath the library, deep beneath the ground, there's a cavern system that is opened up into, which gives us additional storage space and temperature regulation,
Mhm.
and keeping out the air and the poisons and things like that.
Everybody knows about the vast system of tunnels that is beneath Australia. They're hiding it,
Mhm.
and it's filled with books. I
So
mean, that
many
sounds
books.
dope.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good.
100% go. All right. Also, like, perhaps this librarian was like, ooh, you know what else? Maybe we could like last a little bit longer down here. Like, let's put a little something in.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, and now your event.
Okay. I think this is going to be, so the last one was like 16 or early 1600s.
We have
So I think
1620s and
I'm going to do like
1840s.
40 years after that. So I'm
Okay.
going to do
1660s.
1660s. And I feel like there is a story and a legend maybe that has been dug up in a couple of areas about someone building a dirigible
Hmm.
to go into space.
Whoa. Okay.
And I'm going to research that.
Okay. What is the question that you are Do you need them again?
Well, I know the one that I want it to be.
Do you want it to be the crisis clock?
I always want it to be the crisis clock. Is it too early for a second crisis? What happens
I
when we
mean,
get two? Are we dead?
um, let's look. Let's see what happens when we get to. When players have advanced a crisis clock by choosing the dying world question on the research list a number of times equal to the number of players, the game is over. The Earth has come to an end. Oh, and then we have to decide how we get the timeline off of Earth. We get to do a final record. And all the other beings in the universe will remember your civilization based on the research that we have done.
Interesting.
And then we get to decide, like, we get to take a sort of analyze it and be and see like how accurate as a whole we were. And what sort of look at the civilization that whoever finds it will like. What sort of inferences will they draw from?
So we do need a little bit of time after the two crises happen to wrap up and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like, if this feels like the second crisis, like it would be, and technically it would be the first crisis, right? The first crisis is the idea to go to space, and the second crisis is you went to space.
Yeah, chronologically speaking. Yeah.
So like I'm for it.
All right. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say, let's do it. How does this pertain to the end of the world?
Okay. Great.
I'm gonna use those research points.
Yeah. So we have two.
Because we have two. And then
well, you don't have to roll yet. So those research points don't come into play just yet.
Oh, okay.
So so there is a legend that someone built a dirigible with the express purpose going to space in the 1660s.
And my theory is that it is Oleander.
Oh. It's Oleander. Did he make it?
I think he did. I think he made it and spent some time on the moon messing things up.
Like introducing plant life to the moon.
Yeah.
Which then like mutated over hundreds of years.
And then gets brought back. And then that is how it poisons the earth.
Was that his intention?
Who knows? I think
I might know.
Probably not. I don't know. My guess is maybe not. Maybe he was just like, I'm going to go to the moon and, be on the moon for a bit. Maybe he was just misunderstood. Who knows? It's hard to tell.
I mean, he did,
with history this long ago.
With, a poisonous plant, and then hundreds of years later, the earth is poisoned and dies.
Well, yeah, but was it malicious? He did go to the moon to do all of his poison work.
But was it intentionally poisonous when he went to the moon? Or was it something about the moon that caused it to be poisonous?
I mean, maybe both. Maybe the thing that got him kicked out from the Order of Blackthorn Druids was dealing in poison plants in a non-responsible way, and
definitely a super villain.
Yeah, and then went to the moon in his dirigible to continue his research. And then it turns out the moon is weird, and
moon's haunted.
Mutated a bunch of stuff. He probably died at some point.
Sure.
And then just recently, folks went back to the moon, and now things are bad. And
quickly.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a fast.
Yes.
Although I'm wondering if okay, he had to have come back. Let,
Oleander?
let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because when we started, prior to going to the moon, the Earth was already dying, but maybe slower.
Mm-hmm.
So like he must have brought back something that he made on the moon, but it was in such a small quantity. Like maybe it didn't like make it to the oceans. Like
It
maybe
could be
it,
the cover crop.
oh, it could be the cover crop. But it like
And then
and then
when
but the
it,
one on the moon continued to like
yeah,
mutate.
so like he stabilized it. So it was actually the cover crop, and we were dealing just in general with the machinery pollution, kind of as stated. But
Mm-hmm.
then when pieces of the moon were reintroduced to the ecosystem, then the mutations could continue
And
because
it
nobody
like
would, and it
rapidly.
kicked that cycle up again.
I mean, that doesn't sound great.
Whoops. Sounds like his
Oleander,
heart was in the right place, though.
was it?
I don't know. Villains are hard to read sometimes.
All right, well, let's have you roll.
Great. I'm going to use
Okay, before,
astronomy.
yeah. So that adds one. I would also, well, not machinery. I was gonna say,
Yeah. But didn't use your woodblock art at all, which is too bad.
that's okay.
Um,
Um, large scale
I'm,
farming equipment.
I don't think so
No, but then you can add 2 research points.
because there's no other opportunity to use the research points after
Right.
this.
So
Correct.
you're gonna end up adding 3 to your
3.
roll.
Wonderful.
I would love for you to get above an 8.
Okay. How does a 9 sound? I rolled a 6.
Your research reveals accurate records of the events. Everything that happened in
Oh,
the scene is true to history.
that's cool.
So
Wow. All
Oleander
right.
went to the moon. He
In the
introduced
1600s.
in the 1600s. He built a
Mm-hmm.
dirigible. He went to space. He
Yeah.
went to the moon. He
Yeah.
introduced plant life to the moon. Some of it mutated, and he came back and started using it to produce new crops.
His teachings eventually
His
lead
teachings
to
lead to
the
the cover
grain
crop.
unions and the cover
Grain.
crop. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we went back to the moon and brought back Tainted Moon. Haunted
And messed
Moon.
it all up.
Messed it all up. All right.
I admit that took a turn I was not expecting.
I like that we were like, definitely it's like parallel Earth timeline. And then we were like, what about druids? Like, what about like a little bit of magic? It's
Yeah.
go to space in 1660. This seems correct.
Mm-hmm.
Which is obviously what happened. All right. So now we have to decide. You and I are the last curators of the museum. The last
Okay.
ones. The last ones.
Good job.
Here.
High five us.
We did it. We have to decide, how are we getting our timeline off of Earth before it dies?
Mm.
It's our final record. So I'm gonna say, do we want to say that it's like the 50s now or the 60s? Where are we at?
Mm-hmm. Let's do the 60s. Let's do the
1960s.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are I mean, is it like a dirigible? Are we like
I mean,
loading it?
It would make sense that we would have found some space-worthy dirigible plans amongst all of that research.
Yeah. Okay. So we packed the dirigible with the research of all of these things.
With books.
With books. Not people.
Traditionally very lightweight.
Yeah.
easy to get off the ground
Well,
with a
yeah.
balloon.
Dirigible with research, and we just like, do we just like shoot it into space? Do we go with it?
I mean, there's no reason not to go with it.
We'll either die in space or we'll die on the planet.
Yeah.
Okay. With the curators, we just like go to space. The idea is, though, that like you don't survive.
Oh, no, of course not.
Right.
Of
So
course not.
like how long, this is not necessarily part of it, but like how long do you think it is before
I
it is
mean,
found?
oh, before it is found?
Or before we die off?
Yeah, I was going to say probably not long. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
realizing we just told the story of Silent Running. Have you seen that movie with Bruce Dern? Um, so it's probably like just us, some plants and books, like just quietly drifting through space until we just die of
Till we
natural
just die.
causes
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing in space.
Right, right. So,
It's like another 20 years, maybe.
all right.
One of us probably dies first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other has like at least a decade by themselves.
Woof. All right.
Just like committed to the mission. Maybe you'll land somewhere, but I mean, you don't.
Probably not. Don't go to the
Yeah.
moon. It's haunted
Moon's
and
haunted.
full of poison.
Yeah.
That's all
Everything's
real.
poison.
Listen, I need you to, that's why we didn't go back to the moon. Because it is
Poison.
haunted and full of poison. All right. And then how long after that? So like 10 years first death.
hmm
So in the 70s, death of first curator. And then in the 80s, death of second curator. And then how long before it's found? Is it ever found? We've learned nothing.
I don't know that it's ever found. I mean, mathematically, it's found eventually.
How?
But do the books survive?
Unclear.
I
How,
don't know. How well does paper do in space? I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, apparently there's magic. So, but like, okay, so here are the events. Ready? I'm going to read you the events in order.
Yes.
An old sect of druids who mastered botany, supplies, and lore and all of that stuff. Blackthorn druids start to break apart. There's infighting. Oleander, because of what's actually in the history, Oleander and his followers split from the main group. In 1660, we know in the 1660s that Oleander built a dirigible, took it to the moon, introduced plant life to the moon, which began to mutate to toxicity, brought some of it back to Earth. In the 1840s, there was a new cover crop developed by the grain unions. And according to our research and history, it was just to alleviate hunger. In the 1900s, there was a civil war in South America where a physical wall divided the continent until the Earth fell. That's it. The whole continent was involved, for sure. In the 1940s, we sent the first human to the moon, and they brought back minerals, which began to be processed and started to increase the rate that the pollution and everything was killing the planet. And then that's it. In the 1960s,
It was fast.
We loaded all of the research onto that we had done onto the dirigible and shot that sucker into space.
Yeah.
With the two curators who died sometime
later.
So like the issue becomes that the one very clear event is not actually tied to the direct like death of the planet.
You mean
like,
him going to the moon?
Yeah, the fact that is like very clear and well researched and like we got this one.
Then we're just guessing.
Yeah, everything else is just really sort of guessing. And I'm interested. I'm going to say this is not part of it, but I would love to say that the other things that we had brought up. How does the war in South America tie in, do you think?
Yeah.
With these
I don't know. That's a good question. Was it famine based? What was the year for that?
The 1900s. So like the 1900s, the very beginning decade of 1900s. So about 20 years after that cover crop was introduced.
So it could be like food wars. You know, and that was the start of the realization that the cover crop wasn't really doing what it said, because we had researched some stuff saying that it wasn't working as intended.
Right.
I think one of my first researches got that it was like the not what the people thought was going on.
Yeah.
Was the question that
I'm wondering if one of the governments, because it was all government infighting. It was like not supported by the people. One of the governments had figured it out and was trying to get everyone to stop using it. And the other government that was involved was like, no, this is cheaper and we can control the population with it. And perhaps there was a bit of not alleviating the hunger so much as like perhaps before it became incredibly poisonous and like was off-gassing, that maybe it had like a calming effect on the people, made them more like submissive and controllable.
That's dark.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
it's pretty grim.
I can do the serious and the grim. I can do it. Just don't usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting because that seems to be the only one that like we hadn't tied in, and and like obviously we didn't research it enough to fix it. like we weren't able to do that, but like I think that's a really interesting.
It fits the timeline really well.
Yeah. Yeah, wild. So, I'm not sure that we did that exactly correct. Gordie,
it was a fun storytelling exercise, though.
It was very fun. I was already like, oh, this is a cool. Like, I want to like tell more stories, like expand this timeline more and all that stuff. I thought that was very interesting. I feel
like with more people, there would be more about the library itself, more about like structural changes and
I feel like you could
changes and things like
absolutely that. You could do more projects and stuff, and that would give you more access to research points if you had more people. Although it is written for 2 to 5 players, and I think that's to like cut down on the amount of crises clock that you have to do.
Well, I think with 5 players, then you would have like more if you were trying to tell a mystery together about like why the Earth is ending or whatever. You know, you would have 5 points of reference to tie.
Yeah. And like, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 5 total.
Hmm.
We each told two, and then there was one more.
Hmm.
Um, but like in a group of, if we had 5 people at the table and everybody told two, that's 10 points
Hmm.
in the timeline.
How high does the research scale go? Is it just it is 9 the max, 9 and above?
Yeah, so it is 4 and below, 5 to 7, and then 8 plus.
Cool.
Um, but if we had started with more players, if you start more small projects and finish them, then suddenly you're continuing to add like 2, and you're adding more
Hmm.
accessible. Every time you do one that's a 2, you are also adding an accessible subject, and so you could be
Hmm.
adding, there could be, and if you did something, if we did something, for example, um that involved like mechanical science and art history, perhaps there was a wood block that we were studying that was
Oh,
showing
sure.
showing an event, showing the astronomy, showing
Hmm.
the moon and the stars, and in like mimicking something with equipment that had been used or tampered with or something. You can add 3. You add 1 for every accessible
Right. Right. Right.
research point, and then you also can, and then like if we had extra research points, so there's, I mean, there's definitely a chance that like we could have been rolling much higher.
Absolutely.
But I think the story that we sort of came up with together, it felt correct for like, I don't know, but he's going to space, so like we should probably just kill the Earth right now.
Let's just wrap it up.
Go. And it does say that you can have the scenes be where you are doing, where you're like creating characters, which we created some characters, but like
Hmm.
that you role play the actual event of the scene
Hmm.
instead of just like describing it. Um, but and then that way you can sort of involve the other people at the table instead of having it just be like asking questions, but like, well, what
Yeah.
happened here? Where did this go? That you can sort of like, RP that. Um, but I feel like it made more sense for me to see it as more of a, we are reading a book about it situation and like telling you what happened in the book
Yeah.
instead of like acting out
That
what happened in
feels
the book.
yeah, that feels correct for just 2 people, sort of a just like fireside story,
Yeah.
situation.
I would be interested in playing this with 5 and seeing
Hmm.
how different, because then I think you could really be like, like we could have been like, want someone's Oleander, and then you have whoever's the leader of the other sect or the other half of it, and then like, a couple more, like one other person, and we could do, this is what's
Yeah.
happening here, um and then one of the other people who was not involved gets to go, no, that was wrong, here's where it went, and like, yeah,
Yeah,
so I
I
think
love
it,
that.
yeah, it could be very interesting. um yeah,
That was a cool game.
was cool. I thought it's interesting because I was like, oh, I don't feel like we went very long, but like we covered like 350 years of history,
Yeah.
in that time.
Yeah.
We just didn't, it's
We
very
focused
very much
really
like Civ. It's just,
yeah,
oh, someone,
focused a lot on the research as opposed to the library as well.
yeah.
Um, but with
Yeah,
only
because
2 crises.
I considered, if we hadn't done that second crises, I was going to start another project and have it be like installing an air purification system in the underground caverns.
Hmm.
I guess I like the idea that perhaps there are just like, instead of having it like you jettisoned as almost like a like hey, somebody with like a little note that's like, we're under the library, like come back and here's some
Yeah.
research,
Well,
but like here's what happened and now we're underneath here.
and if you had been able to finish, or I guess if we had been able to finish your copying books project,
Yeah.
then we could have sent the old ones
Sent them
into
off and
space,
kept the new ones.
kept the new ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's an interesting,
Too
and I
bad we
could,
all got sick so fast.
it's rough. I mean, when you have all of written history,
Hmm.
it's going to take more than 10 years to move it underground, I would bet.
That makes sense.
If it's everything. And there's only like two librarians.
The world has a lot of stuff.
The world has a lot of stuff. Um, but I think this is a cool timeline that we built. I'm definitely interested in like poking at it more, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely.
I think that that is a thing. It's like one of my favorite parts of role-playing games is like the world building and this, like I really like The Quiet Year. Have you played The Quiet Year?
I have not played it. I'm familiar with it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, I just like building the settings.
Yeah. Is that the one with the no, 10 candles is the one with the 10 candles. I was
Oh,
like, which is the one with the candles? It's the one
the one that
called
has
10
candles in
candles.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, speaking of that, I saw another speaking of candles, I saw another one that was written just recently. Um, that is a two-player game, and you need a physical candle
Uh-huh.
for it, and the game lasts as long as the candle stays lit.
Mm.
And it is lit, it's like it was around Halloween time. Gosh, I gotta look it up.
Like a little tea candle or like a
I feel
like
like
a pillar.
I feel like Super Dylan made it. Um,
Mm.
hey, chat, help me out. We'll figure it out. But the idea is that one of the role players is playing the ghost of someone that was important to the other role player who is still alive. And you have until the candle goes out to tell them your last bits of
That's
like
neat.
stuff. And then the candle goes out and your connection with them is lost. Um, and I was like, like,
I like that.
yeah, but like that sounds rough. And also seems very much like it should be an in person. And I can see
Yeah.
because then you have the candle between you. And but also I think it's really interesting, like what a cool character, like in depth thing that you could
Hmm.
do. You know, like
I like when games add that timer element in a
mhm.
unique way, like that, especially when it's a physical one and you get like that Jenga feel where you're just like, don't talk too
Something
close
could
to the
be
candle.
because it'll go
Like,
out and then
because you could sneeze and then the game is over, you
or
know?
a door could open
Hmm.
and you know too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. And and I feel like a lot of the like role playing games that are only a couple of people, intentionally only a couple of people, are more about like exploring either world setup or like one particular character and what a
Sure.
great use of like I'm writing this thing and I'm just stuck, so I'm gonna bring this character that I love and sort of work
Hmm.
through some stuff in a different spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
there were a lot of two-player. Okay, when we decided we were going to do a two-player game, I did a bunch of research, like search for a bunch of games that are intended to be two players or like 2 to 4 or something. Like I just did like a bunch of like looking through it and like so many of them are horror based.
Mm.
So many are like, this is the scariest thing that you'll ever do in your life.
Yeah.
And it'll be just the two of you. Have fun. And I'm like, no, I just kept like like flipping, like, no, thank you. Where's the nice ones? Like, I just want something to be nice. Or they're like missed connection ones. There was one that I was looking at, but it felt more like an acting exercise because it was like you're supposed to sit back to back so you cannot see the person, and you're supposed to, like, as if you are texting them the all the conversation that you are having, so that you're not influenced by their facial expressions or their body movements. And it's all like last conversation stuff. Like that is also a theme. And I'm like, oh my God. Like
really grim.
And like this one got grim because end of Earth, but it was not grim in a very personal way, I felt like. Right. So I was like, this one I could do. This one seems good.
Yeah, large scale grimness, not very intentional.
Tiny grimness.
Tiny grimness.
Yeah, so we normally do moments of gratitude here. What were you grateful for in this game?
Yeah, I think conceptually, I've never played a 2-person game before. I've never done any solo RPGs, nothing like that. So I think I'm just thanks for having me on the show to get to do a thing that I haven't done before. That's always really fun. I've been playing games for a while, and I like
a hot minute.
It's been a bit. And I love that there's just new stuff to discover all the time. And so that is definitely my moment of gratitude for that.
Cool. Thank you. I think I am grateful for the fact that we trust each other enough to really truly dig into like collaborative storytelling. I feel like it is even more important as in a 2-player game that both parties are willing to buy into collective as opposed to one person trying to like very much control the narrative and the other person just sort of floating around and like, but what about the people?
Yeah, absolutely.
So because I didn't feel at all like, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't feel like either of us was steering what was happening here. It felt
I thought we really just built on whatever, just perpetually yes-anding it. We just built on whatever we had, and then we did some fine-tuning along the way and things like that. Yeah. Great. But yeah, it's definitely like you got to have if it's only 2 people, you both got to be in it.
Yeah.
There's no one else to catch if one person's not there.
You can't like at the table be like, oh, hold on, I'm just is it my turn?
I wasn't listening. What am I rolling? Yeah.
Try 6. Did I roll? What does the 6 do? Yeah. Great. We did it.
Good job, us.
Hey, where can we find you on the internet? What do you have coming up?
Yeah. So again, I'm Damon. You can find me on the internet at _Feral on Twitter, because I'm part of Formerly Feral Games.
It's true.
That's kind of a side gig, I guess.
Becoming more of a main gig every day, I think.
Yeah, more of a main gig every day, which is great. We're also on Facebook at Formerly Feral Games, and then Instagram at The Crowned RPG. And we just finished our first Kickstarter for The Crowned. So that's kind of what I'm doing. There's a lot of writing there that still needs to happen. So that's what I've got going on. But I'm also going to be on an upcoming episode of Actoroki, which will be on Gen Con TV. I'm guest starring as I fill in for someone who can't make it. And Sarah's going to be running that one too.
It's me.
I cannot promise to not poison the moon again.
I'm going to try to make that happen. Perhaps it is a side quest, an Actoroki side quest. Perhaps the side quest is to poison the moon.
I'm good at it, as it turns out. You just need a dirigible. Launch it straight there.
I will get right on that. Make sure. Let me just make some notes. I'm just going to change everything that I was going to do. Tune in Wednesday and see if we poison the moon.
It's going to be so good.
Yeah. That is going to be Wednesday, December 7th at 6 p.m. Pacific. on twitch.tv/GenConTV. And Damon's also on social media as himself at Damon Vanhee.
I'm bad at the internet. I'm really bad at it. I'm so sorry, everyone.
I do apologize to the whole world for being
I'm sorry,
bad.
everybody watching. I'm bad at the internet.
Bad at the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not going to get any better at it either. I've tried, and it's not a skill that I have.
And you know what? That's okay. Mostly. It's mostly okay.
Mostly okay.
I mean, honestly, I feel like that's all we can strive for in our lives. Like
It's mostly
okay. Like seems all right.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Moore. You can find me on Facebook at Actor Sarah Moore. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and Ko-Fi and Hive at Pixies and Pins. You can go to my website at pixiesandpins.com. You can see me a lot on Actoroki at Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/GenConTV. And you can find me here every Friday night for Sarah's Table at 5 p.m. Pacific. And next week, I think I am playing Super Cool Monster Hunting Club by Grant Howitt, which I'm very excited about because character creation is finding 3 random items in your house, physical items, and wearing them. And I'm so excited to see what everybody comes up with because that's bananas. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna say all my thank yous. I would like to thank my partner Jeff for editing this.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. We love you. I would like to thank Marcus Mays for hitting the go button over at GenCon TV and always putting the extra cool filter on me so that I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I would like to thank GenCon TV for giving me this platform so I can continue to spotlight indie games that don't get a lot of eyeballs. And thank you, Damon, for being on with me. I would love to have you
Thanks
back
for having me.
Another 2-player game at some point. I will try to find one that won't make us cry.
Okay.
No promises, but I will try my hardest.
They all sound pretty dark. I'm here for it, though.
Yeah, no, I know. You are the correct person to play the dark one with. For sure. And thank you at home for hanging out with me and watching. I'm always so grateful that I get to keep doing this silly show. It brings me a lot of joy. Yeah, I know there's probably like other people to thank, but like let's pretend that I did. Everybody who was supposed to get thanked absolutely got thanked today.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if there are games that you are interested in seeing me play, or if you are a game designer and you got something fun and funky and small that you would like me to get on the show, like please send me a message. Especially if you are in the process of kickstarting a thing. I am very Kickstarter friendly. I try really hard to get you on during your campaign so that we can have some actual play out so people can see it and we can push your stuff. I just want everybody to succeed. That's my thing. I want everybody to make all the games that they want to make. That's what I want. So make my wish come true, my Christmas wish. And everybody support indie games forever. Beep, beep.
It's a good wish.
It's a good wish. Yeah, so thank you so much. As always, keep making art and keep being art. We will see you next time. Mwah.